Warren Buffett, one of the greatest value investors of all time, in his most recent annual shareholder meeting, when asked about whether he would buy Bitcoin, this is what he had to say.
If the people in this room owned all of the farmland in the United States, and you offered me a 1% interest in it, hey, it says bargain price, $25 billion, I'll write you a check. If you tell me you own 1% of the apartment houses in the United States, another 25 billion or something, I'll write you a check. Now, if you told me you owned all of the Bitcoin in the world and you offered it to me for $25, I wouldn't take it, because what would I do with it? I have to sell it back to you one way or another. I mean, maybe I have the same people, but it isn't going to do anything. The apartments are going to produce rental, and the farms are going to produce food.
Wow, that was really hard to watch, especially as an admirer of Warren. I read his book when I was in high school. I learned about investing from his perspective. So let's try to analyze objectively from Warren's perspective on why he believes that Bitcoin is basically worthless. Warren Buffett is a value investor. What they look at is how much cash does the business generate. When a business fluctuates in market price because either people are fearful or people think this is the end of the stock market, that's when stocks become really, really cheap relative to the cash flow they generate, hence the value they generate. And that's when Warren goes in and try to buy those businesses at a discount. And that's what made him so successful for his entire career. Since he is so successful, it's very hard to change his mind about a certain investment. He holds his belief consistently to other investments as well. He does not believe in gold or silver. But he might buy them as a market hedge, but he never hold them long term because using the same philosophy, they don't generate any cash flow. So now that we got a glimpse into Warren's thinking on how investments should work, is he right about Bitcoin being worthless? So from a value investor's perspective, I believe what he's saying is absolutely correct. Bitcoin, as of now, does not generate any cash flow. He doesn't give the holder any sort of cash or new Bitcoin. But it does not mean it's worthless. And here's why. Imagine there's this asset and it's created out of thin air. The only reason it has value is because the people who created it out of thin air says it has value. And let's say this person who created, or this organization that created this asset, is the Zimbabwean government. Do you believe the Zimbabwean dollar? Do you put your trust in it? Probably not as much. But now, let's say it's the United States government. Being the greatest or the most powerful country in the world, the United States dollar has value, a lot of value, because every country wants to do business with the United States. And that's why people can use the USD to purchase goods and services within the United States with the United States. And I believe that's the framework we should be looking at. We should be applying when we're thinking about what is the value of Bitcoin. So applying that framework, we have to think about who is backing the value of Bitcoin. The answer is everybody who is in the ecosystem. That included the first people who ever owned Bitcoin. That include people who were investors, retail investors, and there are people who are institutional investors who were entrusted by their clients to manage the money, whom to make decisions for their financial being. They believe that there is some value in Bitcoin. At the same time, the whole ecosystem, the fact that there are merchants, there are shops that are accepting Bitcoin as a payment in order for them to exchange their goods and services, that proves that Bitcoin has value. because people can use it to receive goods and services. Some of them can be received here in the United States, some of them in South Korea. So people around the world are building a system that's not backed by any central government, that's not backed by any central agency. It's backed by the full faith and credit of the people. And that to me is the true value of Bitcoin. But in order for Bitcoin to be truly successful, it needs to do a couple of following things. One, it needs to be accepted by more and more people. So it means that shops and merchants, we need more of them to accept Bitcoin as an exchange of payment in order for them to provide goods and services. Second, it really needs to create a use case that will accelerate adoption into the world. Because we're competing, or Bitcoin is competing with fiat currency, which is accepted worldwide and is so simple and easy. You can just give cash and receive, let's say, grocery or coffee or whatever goods or services you bought on Amazon. It's very convenient. Bitcoin, even though it does that, it doesn't do that well. And in order for people to make that switch, it needs to do that well and needs to do that 10 times better than using fiat. And I think we can get there with the help of the Metaverse. And the password is cucumber. I believe the Metaverse is the use case that will accelerate the adoption of cryptocurrency, Bitcoin included. Because we're basically building a new world on the internet, providing goods and services that are in the virtual world. So in order to receive those virtual goods and services, we have to pay in virtual currencies. And that will accelerate people exchanging their fiat to buy virtual currencies in order to exchange for virtual goods and services. Some of the smartest and the brightest people I know are working on building the Metaverse. Some of the most resourceful venture capital firms are investing their money into companies that are building the Metaverse. Every day we have new people coming into the ecosystem, and it's just absolutely exciting. And my job as a YouTuber is to try to find those exciting and interesting projects and try to present them to you. So if you like my content, please don't forget to subscribe. This just means that the Metaverse is the use case that could potentially accelerate the adoption of cryptocurrency. Does this mean tomorrow we'll see massive adoption of cryptocurrencies? No. But I truly believe the Metaverse is the use case we've been looking for that will accelerate massive adoption into the Metaverse. If you're interested in learning more about the Metaverse and cryptocurrency, please subscribe to my channel. I'll try to bring more content like this to you so you can understand where the future is heading.